Hello everybody and welcome to a Saturday morning stream. We are playing Civilization 6 today because not long ago 2K Games and Firaxis have released a new civilization that you can play as, and it is Vietnam this time, and I was very keen on giving Vietnam a go. I figured I might as well do it while I was on a stream because I have done some streams of Civilization 6 before and I do enjoy doing them. So here we go. This is the first time that I've played as Vietnam. I only just installed the update yesterday. I need to find time to catch up on a lot of my games. This came out a couple of weeks ago, I think, but I have only just got onto it now. I haven't played Civilization 6 for a while either because I just finished, well, a couple of months ago I finished my campaign as Simon Bolivia and Gran Colombia. And because I play the marathon version of the game, which is 1500 turns, that is 1500 turns in a full game, I need a break in between them. So, yeah, this is the first time I played Civilization 6 in quite a few months, and it was to check out Vietnam. Now, I was really interested in Vietnam and how they would handle it, because when you say to somebody they've added Vietnam to Civilization 6, the immediate assumption would be that you would be playing as Ho Chi Minh, and the abilities and whatever of the civilization would be based around modern Vietnamese history, because that is the thing that people think about in a lot of cases when they think about Vietnam, especially in the context of civilization and warfare and stuff. But of course, putting all the political stuff aside, the reality is that there would be a lot of veterans that do enjoy Civilization 6, and putting Ho Chi Minh into the game would have been uncomfortable for them, I think. So they've instead gone and to a much earlier part of Vietnamese history, and they've decided to represent the civilization by a leader by the name of Ba Tio, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. I think I have. Ba Tio. And the amazing thing is, she basically did the exact same thing as Ho Chi Minh. So what she's famous for is a type of warfare that was very reminiscent of what Ho Chi Minh would do, many years later, and as such they've been able to put Vietnam into the game in a way that will play the way that you would expect Vietnam to play, in that the units that you have are stronger when they're fighting from rainforest, marsh or wood tiles, and the culture and the civilization is very much built around utilizing rainforest, marsh and wood as a resource, and they've done that in a way that hasn't required them to put Ho Chi Minh in there. So there we go. Just looking, this is the title screen before you start playing. This loads up, you can read through. It outlines the abilities of the Vietnamese civilization. Like I said, the units are stronger when they're fighting in conditions that suit the Vietnamese. And they have a unique unit, which we're not going to get to see today because it comes in much later on down the track, but it's an elephant, a Voi Chien, and I hope I've pronounced that again right. I'm not very good with Vietnamese pronunciation, so I apologize if I'm butchering all of that. But the Voi Chien is a land unit that is an elephant, which I'm looking forward to getting to play with later down the track. It's unique to the Vietnamese civilization. And then they've also got a district. Now, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Thun. It replaces the encampment. It's a military resource, and that sets up the Vietnamese as the civilization. I would imagine going into it that you're going to need to be fairly aggressive with them. They're a military-based civilization, and a lot of their special abilities and their strengths as a civilization come from their military prowess. So, with all of that in context, we're going to get into it in just a second. But yes, it's exciting. I don't generally play the more military-inclined civilizations. Generally, I chase a cultural victory or sometimes a scientific victory if I'm in the mood for it. I don't generally chase kind of a military-strong civilization. But that being said, I have enjoyed playing as the Mongols in the past, and they're a militant civilization as well. So this should be good. Alright, let's get into it. Hopefully a couple of people want to jump on and say hello. That was a long introduction, I know. But there's a lot to talk about with Civilization because it is so grounded in real history and real people, and the developers do a really good job of capturing, I guess, what a civilization is best known for and implementing that as mechanics within the game. So, yes, each civilization feels very different to players, and they do feel very much like what you would expect based on the history of the civilization. Okay, let's jump into it. Begin game. So, with any luck, we are going to be located near plenty of forests and rainforests and stuff. And that one is a good one. Look at all that. We've got plenty of rainforests and stuff there. All of that up there. So, obviously, I mean, if you haven't played Civilization before, a lot of this is going to be confusing, I think, because I'm not going to give you a one-on-one and explain how to play the game as we go along. But I will talk through my strategy as I play, and if you have any kind of experience with Civilization, hopefully this makes enough sense. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to build my city on there because I'm going to want to utilize that as a resource later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my settlers over here, and I'm going to set up there. In the meantime, I've got some warriors to move around, so let's have a... So, with the Vietnamese civilization, if a unit starts its turn on rainforests, woods or marsh, they get an extra bonus to their movement, reflecting the fact that the Vietnamese have been very mobile when attacking from that kind of terrain. We've discovered a new continent. We're naming it Antarctica. Cool, we're starting on Antarctica. Excellent. And we found a little friendly village down there. So, off to a good start. I'll build my city right there, next to the Sa River. Near, nice and close to a mountain. Look at all that rice around there too. That's a good spot, I think. I get the feeling that that is a good spot to start. So once again, I'm playing a marathon version of this game. It's 1500 turns long, as you can see in the top right hand of the screen. And I've chosen to play on a map that is small islands. So I'm going to need to have a navy soon enough. Hopefully, most of this island that I'm starting on will be mine, and I won't need to share it. I don't like sharing. And from there I can build a couple of coastal cities and start to build up my navy. But first, let's get the first city in there. We'll have to remove that woods. Well, do I want to do that? Hello, Nook Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Yes, Civilization always has turn limits. Always. But you can choose how many. If you want to play a quick game, it's a couple of hundred turns. I can't remember how many. And then you've got a couple of different options, up to a full marathon, which is 1500 turns, and that is the way I like to play it. I really like my Civilization games to be long and epic and stuff, and I know it's time consuming, but I'm willing to do so. And the turn limits are actually linked to the era, so we're in turn 2 of 1500 at the moment. It is currently 3985 BC, and by the time you get to turn 1500, it is 20 something, marginally into the future from memory. So yeah. My island left with some plants. Yes, well, if I do encounter another civilization, I'm going to have to deal with them. Always do that first. There we go. Our first city has been founded. Thang Long. And there we go. Look at that. Very pretty little city. We're off. Our civilization is away. Now let's keep exploring. Let's see what else we can find around here. And research our first science thing. I always go with pottery first, because pottery is essential for building up the population of your civilization, and my general strategy with this game is to first and foremost make sure that you've got a big population. It's directly linked to your ability to build stuff, to make scientific discoveries. Basically, especially in the early part of the game, the civilization with the biggest population is the one that has a dominant position. I will build a warrior unit. Start on that. So it is unfortunate in the context of the fact that I'm doing an hour-long stream and it's the start of the game that I can't show the unique unit, because that is, I guess, the exciting part of Civilization, and each individual civilization has its own unique unit. These ones, I think it comes in the medieval era, so a couple of hundred turns into the game. And, oh, free population. Exactly what I needed. And lost my train of thought. And yeah, you won't get to see the Vietnamese unique unit in the context of this stream. What I'll do is probably keep playing, and then when I can start to build that unique unit, I'll do another stream at that point. But like I said, it's an elephant unit, and I'm really looking forward to that. The elephant unit is apparently very mobile, does good damage, and can attack and move again and stuff, so it's quite a dynamic unit to be playing around with. It'll be interesting to see if it can top the samurai. I still think that the samurai would be my favourite unique unit in the game. Obviously, they're unique to the Japanese. Very good land unit. If you ever play Civilization, the Japanese are a good starting civilization to play with because they have that samurai unit. Anyway, we're still exploring. The early part of the game is pretty dull. In the sense that I'm not going to have a second unit for a couple turns yet either. But finding that extra population boost was a good start. So there's this big desert down here on the continent of Antarctica, which isn't very icy in this world. Another friendly village, excellent. But that is a big desert, which is good. It is good in the sense that no civilization is going to build down here. No one likes to build on desert, so this will be the southmost city for at least a while, and that gives me a wall of sorts at my back to protect me as I expand. Korea's cool, yeah. Korea's a good civilization in Civ 6 as well. So 2K Games has been adding quite a lot to Civ 6 over the years. It's amazing that it's actually had the kind of longevity it has. It came out over half a decade ago now, I think, from memory. It was a long time ago that it came out. And, oh, my population just boosted again. And, they've just kept adding to it. There's still a season pass to go too. We're in the later half of the current season pass, but there's still another 2 or 3 faction civilizations to add by the end of that season pass, and some other game modes and stuff. So there's still a lot of value to come, and then who knows, maybe they'll do yet another season pass. As long as people keep playing it, I guess. We're still exploring at this... Oh, there we go. We found our first city-state. Our first city-state, Hatsusa, right next door to Thangong. So city-states are, for people who haven't played Civilization, city-states are not rivals in the sense that they're not actually controlled by the AI. They are just kind of small independent city-states. They never grow into nations. It's always just the one city. And you can build relationships with them. You can conquer them if you really want to. But in most cases, it's better just to build a relationship with them. If you become the dominant civilization in a relationship with that city-state, then you get all kinds of resource bonuses and stuff. So having one in close proximity is pretty good because it means that I can get a stranglehold on that relationship good and early. Oh, and then we've also made our first bunch of barbarians. Barbarians are always the fun part of the early part of the game because they are the biggest threat. They stop being a threat, obviously, once you get to a certain point. But in the early parts of the game, you do have to deal with them. But if I do defeat that barbarian and capture his little base there, I get money and stuff, so it's worth doing. Here we go. Let's finish him off. I should have put my unit there. If I put my unit there, they would have got the bonus from attacking out of the marsh. Wasn't paying attention. That's right. I'll still win this battle now. And give me my cash. $150 gold and a boost to my era score as well. And military tradition, so that was definitely worth the effort. 6 more turns and we'll have our second warrior unit. I'm going to use that second warrior unit to explore up this way. See what we can see. And start to think about expanding. Doing that early on in the game to get that second city. But because I got that extra population from the friendly village that I found at the start, I can actually think about expanding quicker. That was a really useful little village to encounter. I set my little warriors there to recover because they took damage, so I don't actually have anything to do for a couple of turns now. I just need to wait. This is all standard for the start of the game in Civilization, so. Anyhow, while we wait for stuff to happen, what have you been playing, Nuke? What's been on your gaming agenda recently? And one more turn and we'll have our unit ready then. This one should almost be healed up too. Yep, cool. That blue unit you just saw there was the city-states, so they won't attack me. They're not a threat unless I go to war with them, which isn't going to happen. There we go. Second warrior unit. And I can now set a new building. I am, in fact, going to go with a settler, I think. It'll take a few turns, but it's worth getting on top of it early. You've got to be quite expansion-focused in Civilization. Which is, I guess, it kind of is a flaw with Civilization. And there have been a bit written about how Civilization assumes that players or civilizations want to expand and grow in that way. They don't necessarily do it via military in the later Civilization games, but expansion is still very much the focus. And there are a number of civilizations and cultures that weren't so expansion orientated. And this game does a fairly poor job of capturing that. It's a side note, and it's certainly not a criticism of the game. I do love Civilization 6, but it is interesting to see how there is that assumption that all civilizations behave the way that kind of the Western mindset, they behave in a way according to the Western mindset, which is obviously the people that developed Civilization 6 are an American company. So there is the assumption that the developers had that all civilizations think the way that kind of our culture does. So it is an interesting side note, and there's a lot of literature you can read about that. People who are far more qualified to talk about, I guess, that than I. Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, so we finished our pottery research, which is good. And we can now focus on something else. I'm going to... There's a lot. See, there's so many here. You just finished Riser 2. Oh, excellent. I'm glad you enjoyed Riser. That's a really good game. Really, really good game. It's amazing that it's been such a great couple of weeks for JRPGs, with both the ones that have come out and the ones that are currently under embargo, that it's not that I've forgotten Riser, but I've forgotten that Riser was just recently released. But yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. It's a certain... If it's a certain game on Nintendo's, then yes, we are talking about the same one. Which I can't wait to talk about. I can this week. There's a big embargoed game that I can talk about this week, that everybody on this stream should be looking forward to. In the meantime, we're getting back to Civilization 6. Animal Husbandry I think I'm going to go with, because then you can build horsies. I do like horsies. Also, it's a useful military science in general. So, because I am going to be playing an aggressive game with the Vietnamese here. Military. Ooh, that's a good little peninsula. So that's... I think I know where I'm going to put my second city. It'll be up here. Look at all that rainforest there, forest and wooded areas, and look at the wheat. That's going to be good for farms. That is going to be a good city. And if I put it on the coast, I can also build my fleet up from there. That is going to be a good place for my second city. So already got that sorted. Now I just have to make sure that there's no other civilizations hanging around that I need to destroy to clear up space there. But yes, back to the JRPG thing. Riser 2, which is great. You should definitely check out Ys 9 as well. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Ys, or wasn't beforehand, but Ys 9 is amazing. March and Forest, which is a tiny little indie game, but don't overlook that. There is also... What else is there? There's another... Well, there's the one coming that we can't talk about just yet. There's Persona 5 Strikers, which comes out in a week. That's another one. It's not a Warriors game. Everybody thinks it's a Warriors game. It's actually a Persona game with a Warriors-like combat system, but it is very JRPG focused. It just goes on. Oh, okay. Yeah, the one I'm thinking about is just on Nintendo. So I think we are thinking about a different one. I wouldn't know which one you're thinking about, actually. Okay, so we're still exploring. Oh, okay. Well, that's a pity. But yeah, you probably do know which one I'm talking about. You should look forward to it without breaking embargo. Oh, so this is a little... That's the peninsula. That's the end of the... That's the end of the island there. So let's go exploring over here. It's looking good that this island will either be entirely mine or mostly mine. The Dark River has flooded. Where's the Dark River? I think that's this river here, around Hatsusa. So, that's another element of Civilization 6 that I really like. They do have all the weather and systems. So rivers can flood. You can get cyclones and typhoons, and all kinds of stuff can happen. Volcanoes can erupt, so it may well be that some of those mountains there become volcanic at some point and destroy my city, which I'm hoping isn't the case, but it can. Global warming can become a thing in the late game if you do too much pollution, so Civ 6 does it all. March and Forest was a really nice little game, but it wasn't it wasn't on my radar because it was so indie that I just wasn't paying too close attention to it. But once I started to play it, it's an absolute delight. I did do a stream of it, what was it, last week? That was the first hour or so, and yeah, it's just a really charming little game with a strong sense of humour, a good dash of surrealism in there. Something distinctive and original anyway. Oh, speaking of weather, look at that. It's been a fire. I need to get my units out of the way of that, otherwise they can get damaged and hurt. So now we're almost 30 turns into the game, and I've got to say, nearly 30 turns into the game, I'm liking where things are at. A lot of your success in Civilization really depends on how lucky you are with how you start, and I've really kind of lucked into a good start here. So the borders of my little civilization have grown because of population intensity and whatever, and they've gone and occupied some rice fields, so that's going to feed my people. Oh, there we go, Barbarians there to fight. Good, there'll be some extra cash. Is weather new to Civ 6? I think... I can't remember if there were disasters in Civ 5. But certainly the complexity of weather is new to Civ 6. In fact, like I mentioned, there's climate change that's in the game. So later in the game, when you start building, power plants and stuff, that converts into pollution and can ultimately result in climate change. And that can result in low-lying areas getting claimed by the ocean and stuff. And all of that was added to Civ 6 via a patch, an expansion. So it wasn't in the base game of Civ 6, it came later on. So I would imagine that, yeah, a lot of the weather stuff is fairly new to the game. But it's been interesting because as a result of having that element in there, some of the civilizations are really kind of focused on that. So if you play the Maori, for example, they are very concerned with sustainability, and you get benefits from not messing up the environment, not clearing land to put power plants in and all that stuff. You actually get benefits to that. So it's actually added variety to the way that civilizations play and stuff. It's been a really good feature in Civ 6. You can turn it off if you don't want to deal with climate change. Okay, so I'm going to lose that battle. I'm going to lose that battle, but I'm going to fight it just once. Because that weakens the enemy. Oh, cool. I've run into another city-state. Didn't notice that. So that is Buenos Aires. That's another city-state. So down here is definitely dominated by the city-states. Up here looks like it's for the taking once I get rid of those barbarians. 24 turns left. I have my settler and I'm going to move them up there for my second city. Okay, so that bushfire finished, or forest fire, or whatever you want to call it. We call them bushfires in Australia. We're quite used to them. Okay, so Buenos Aires is there by themselves. There's only a path. There's only one bit of land to get in there. So whatever's past here, if there's like another civilization up there, I'm not going to have to worry about them because they're not going to go through Buenos Aires. That means that this part of the land seems pretty free for me to take as well. So I've got expansion options early on in the game, which I like. I need to heal my warrior unit. So speaking of the other civilizations that you play, like you said there, Nook Gaming, you played Civ 2, 4 and 5. Civ 2 was the game for me, and I spent most of my youth playing that on repeat. I used to come home from school on a Friday afternoon and basically sit there and play nothing but Civ 2 all weekend, and I did that more times than I care to remember. But yeah, Civ 2 was my game, very much so. I fell out of love with the series a little bit with Civ 3, 4 and 5. I had them and I played them a little bit, but certainly wasn't. They were not big games for me for whatever reason. I think it was just the place and time. I just didn't have. I didn't have the capacity to play those games as much as I might have wanted to. But then Civ 6 came along and it's just been so good that it's hooked me back in a big way. So yeah. The other thing is I've been playing quite a bit of Civilization 1 again. Now that I'm into collecting kind of retro consoles in a big way. Those little retro emulation consoles. Civilization 1 was actually released on the Super Nintendo. So I've been playing Civ 1 on all my little handhelds as well. Good game, Civ 1. Yeah, I think Civ 2 was a big thing for a lot of people, I guess, around our ages. It also really inspired me. It was one of the first games that I played that encouraged me to go out and learn stuff. So, for me, Civ 2 had these really cool things with wonders of the world. Whenever you built a wonder of the world, you got a little video clip of that wonder. And that really inspired my imagination. And I actually did school reports on the wonders of the world and stuff that were really inspired by what I saw in the game. So I would go and then study them and stuff. And that has still, that ability for Civ 6 to encourage me to actually want to go and learn stuff. The ability of Civilization to encourage me to want to go and learn stuff has continued with Civ 6. I think I've said it a couple of times, but when they released Gran Colombia and Simon Bolivia a couple of months ago, would have been about 5 or 6 months ago now, I didn't actually know much about Simon Bolivia or Gran Colombia, which is just not something we learn much about in school. So once he popped up in the game, I had a name, and I found the civilization really interesting to play as. So I've since gone and bought a couple of books, and I've read up about him, and he's a fascinating historical figure in his own right. So yeah, Civ 6 is still encouraging me to learn, which is, for me, it's a sign of a really high quality, worthwhile, important, valuable game if it encourages people to go and learn stuff as well as play a game. Alright, so, okay. So that's interesting, the way this is laid out. Hattusa is kind of on the border with a whole bunch of mountains and stuff. This is all very impassable. We've got a desert there. You can't really build anything in the desert. You've got this impassable bit here, which makes expansion difficult. This is definitely the southmost city, I think, of my civilization, unless I go and build over here, which seems to be fairly open and free, unless there's something down here, like a civilization underneath. But either way, I'm protected on my south flank by all of this, meaning that I can just focus on what's up here, which is good. It's good. That's what you want when you start a Civ game. You don't want to be surrounded by stuff to deal with. Yeah, there's been a couple of games that have inspired me to learn stuff. I got into samurai history in a big way thanks to Samurai Warriors 3 of all games. I I played that. That was my first Warriors game, because for years I've been told they were just button mashers and not worth touching. But then I got Samurai Warriors 3 to play on the Wii as a review thing, and I had to play it. And I sat down, and 70 or 80 hours later, I was a Warriors fan for life since. And that game actually inspired me to learn about Sengoku history. That was where it came from. I didn't know that much about it beforehand. And then Neo, which I'm also replaying at the moment. That was another JRPG that I should have mentioned earlier. Neo's just been re-released on the PlayStation 5 in a remastered thing. And Neo tells the story in a very abstract way, but of William Adams. And William Adams is famous as being the White Samurai. He was a Irish or English. No, English. He was not Irish. He was an English sailor who ended up shipwrecked in Japan and became a bit of a pet for the shogun. And as a result of many years of loyal service, he actually was given the equivalent of knighthood. He became a samurai, and he was the White Samurai. Anyway, Neo is about him, William Adams. And because of Neo, I discovered his name. And when I went to Japan, I went to his memorial park, and I read a book about him as well. I learned all about him because of the game. So there's been a couple of games that have inspired me over the years. Just setting up some policies. This is where you deal with your government. At the start of Civilization 6, your government is a very primitive one. It's basically just a tribal leader. And as a result, there's not too many policies that you can implement. But by the end of the game, you have massively complex governments that have dozens of different policies in play. And each policy gives your civilization benefits. So I've just boosted my strength when fighting barbarians and also increased the production rate in cities. But later on in the game, the policies are much more complex than that as well. Yeah, William Adams, his Anjin was his Japanese name. When he became a samurai, he took a Japanese name. But he is a fascinating figure. He became very valuable to Ieyasu Tokugawa post-Sengoku period because he was one of the few. I mean, Japan closed its borders once Tokugawa took power, but even though it closed its border, there was still, people around. And he became the advisor to Tokugawa about all things to do with Europe. In particular, the Portuguese, which were trading with Tokugawa, and they were also trying to aggressively push their religion, which was Catholicism. Yeah. And Anjin being the Protestant, he kind of used that to gain advantage for England over Portugal in the very limited amount of trading that Japan did with the rest of the world at that point. So yeah, he became an advisor to Tokugawa, very valued member of Tokugawa's regime. So that warrior unit just got a promotion, it leveled up. It's more powerful now. And this unit now has the advantage over the barbarians because, remember, I did choose the policy that they fought the barbarians more effectively. As a result, now I'm the one with the advantage in those battles. So there we go. Civics Tree works a little bit like science in that you do research, but instead of researching up science things, new things to manufacture and whatever, in civics it's more about policies and whatever. In this case, it will be foreign trade that I'm going to research up. That's a while away yet, but foreign trade is handy. So 14 more turns. Excuse me. 14 more turns and I'll have my second settler unit. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to do a little bit more exploring. Oh, I might go and deal with that barbarian actually. You can see the little outline. That's where the camp is. If I don't deal with that, they're going to start sending units to attack my city, so... And I'll finally defeat this bunch of barbarians. Bang, bang, bang. Oh! There we go. Your fight with the barbarians highlight the need for stronger weaponry. My knowledge of bronze working has been advanced considerably. Good. So when I research bronze working eventually, that's going to take fewer turns now because of that. There's a lot to think about as you play Civilization. And we haven't even got into the diplomacy side of things yet. I haven't run into another Civilization proper. Once you do that, you have to start to manage your relationships with them. In the late game, you can start sending spies and do espionage and all that stuff as well. The complexity of this game has always been impressive. There we go. I finally researched up animal husbandry, so I can build horses now. I can also start to farm sheep and stuff, so that was a good thing to research up. And I'm going to research mining next. Of course, you need mines. They provide the materials that you need to build things, so would rather not have mines, of course. Got to be environmental about this, but at the same time, you need the resources. You do need the materials there. Yeah, I know. I love how you get all those little quotes whenever you research something up. The other thing I really love about Civ 6 is that everything is narrated by Sean Bean. His very distinctive voice introduces every single quote, and yeah, really, it's it's obviously a long-term partnership thing that they've got going, because Sean Bean introduces the Vietnamese civilization here at the start of the game, which means that they obviously recorded that fairly recently, so he's obviously still under contract with 2K Games to keep providing material. What an actor is Mr. Sean Bean. What a voice. Alright. Ah, cool. I'm going to take advantage of the Vietnamese special ability here. So if I move my unit there, they're on forest, and that means the next turn they get an attack bonus. So let's do that. I'll be able to wipe the floor with those barbarians then. Let's just see what happens, shall we? Oh, okay, so the first one, I do have the advantage. I will kind of get a minor victory against them. But because they're entrenched and currently not damaged, then it's not going to be a huge success. But the next turn, in my next turn, I'll actually do a lot of damage to them. Nine more turns, and I get my settlers. Watch this. This should be a pretty significant victory. Oh, it's still only a minor victory. Still only a minor victory, but I'm still definitely keeping my head up and with the advantage, so I'll keep going. I'll keep pressing. So something I should have mentioned really at the start of at the start of the stream. I'm playing the Nintendo Switch version of the game here. If you play Civ 6 on PlayStation or of course PC, PlayStation 4, I don't know if you can actually. I don't know if it's compatible with PlayStation 5. But if you play it on PlayStation 4 or PC, it does look better than this. This is Civilization looking kind of at its worst, but it's actually my most played Switch game because it's so perfect for the Switch. I'm more than happy to take the drop in graphical quality because being able to play this on the train or on the plane when we can start doing flights again once COVID lifts, but while you're traveling, when you're in bed, wherever you are really, you can just play a couple of turns of Civ 6. It's just the perfect Switch game. I wish there were more strategy titles on the Switch. With that being said, there is one coming. I might as well talk about that for a moment. There is a version of Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14 coming to the Switch soon enough. And Romance of the Three Kingdoms is obviously based on the book from Chinese literature, so it is just entirely focused on ancient Chinese history, but it is an exceptionally deep strategy game series and definitely worth your time to look into. So if you do have a Switch and you do like your strategy games, I have no doubt that you already own Civilization 6, but you should also look into Romance of the Three Kingdoms once it lands. There is another one if you're really into your kind of hardcore strategy titles. It's called Real Politics, and it's a very hardcore strategy game, which is more about managing a nation rather than fighting battles and stuff. It's very dense, it's very difficult to get into. It really is only for the hardcore strategy fans, but it is there on Switch if you want it. And if you want something really light and casual, there's a series from Easy Tech is the developer and published by Circle Entertainment, and they have a World War II one, a Napoleon one, and one based on the battles of Rome. Those are all quite good fun too. They're very light strategy games. They're more like, I guess, Advanced Wars, but with real history context, and they're worth looking into as well. But that's really kind of it for strategy on the Switch. There's not too many options, which is why part of the reason that I've spent so much time on Civ 6. I do love the genre. There we go. I got one unit back. He's all healed, so I managed to fill in that time by talking nonsense. And I've just about got 3 more turns and I'll have my settler. 3 more turns. I'm going to send this unit up here to explore and just see what's up there. Hopefully that's a coastline, because then I can just claim this whole damn island for myself, which would be great. The other good thing is, because I've dealt with a couple of barbarians now, I've got a lot of cash. See, 845 gold there. I don't know why I'm getting so much cash early on in the game. 5 gold per turn is pretty impressive for this stage of a civilization game. But I'll take it. Having a lot of cash is, of course, a benefit. Okay, so next turn I'll have my settler unit, and they're going to go up there. I'll have my first coastal city in a second. No. There we go, settler. I'm going to send him there. That's the spot I want. Definitely.
Natural history.
Oh, I found the Galapagos Islands. As you explore around, you can discover these kinds of natural wonders, and they offer huge boosts to tourism and stuff later on in the game, because tourism becomes very relevant. And yeah, I've just discovered the Galapagos Islands. Cool! How neat is that? I'll build a granary in my city, because that is going to boost... Actually, no, I'm just going to buy that outright, I think. Or hang on, what units can I build? No, I'm not going to buy that outright. What wonders can I build? Ooh! I can build the Great Bath, which is a wonder. Only 60 turns. And it's not a huge benefit, I guess. I will build the granary. I'll just pay for it. I just paid up front for the granary. You know what? Let's just see where I can put the Great Bath. I could put it just there next to the city. Oh, what the heck? Let's do it. Let's go with a great... We're building a wonder. $60 turns, that's obviously a long time commitment, but it'll get shorter anyway as the city grows up, and I'll have that second city as well, providing resources and whatever soon enough, so it's an early game advantage that I'm going for here. Having wonders is a big deal. Oh, another barbarian bunch. Okay, fine, I'll fight them too. Need to clear them away anyway, because my settlers are going to be there in a couple of turns. And my other unit of warriors is almost healed. Good. Good, 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 good. Alright, let's deal with this bunch. It looks like this island might continue up here actually, which might run into another civilization soon. Ah, there we go. They're nice and healed. I can use them again. Let's go exploring again, little warriors. Fight. Ooh. Even better reason to build there. I want to build just next to that barbarian camp. Another reason is there's tuna in the ocean there. Once I can start to
when you find yourself in a hole,
fish, then tuna is a good resource. Okay, finish my mining. Next research. Yeah, okay. Bronze working is where I want to go next. Because once again, I need to think fairly militaristically with the Vietnamese, and that will certainly do it. Bronze working is a military... a pure military play. Excellent, that's dealt with. Cha-ching. Just in time because the settler's just about to get there. And that unit is actually available for promotion. Promotion's good because it actually also heals the unit when they've been promoted. Now, for now, I don't want them to run into the barbarians, so I'm just moving them out of the way. We got attacked. Got attacked by the barbarian. How rude. Okay, so that's where I want to build, I think. I think I want to build there. It's just a location thing. It's not... For some reason, the game doesn't recommend it. But in terms of location, it's just perfect. There's wheat fields just there. I'm covered. There's forest everywhere around. There's tuna soon enough. So that's just the perfect location as far as I'm concerned. Oh! You can see there's little blue dots. That should be another civilization. I'm about to meet my first new friend. Who will it be? Who will it be? Will they be aggressive or friendly? Let's find out. Uh-oh. It's the Aztec. It's the Aztecs. They're an aggressive civilization. Let's be friendly for now. So Montezuma. We've made friends with Montezuma. Or we're going to try to anyway. That's their capital. So they haven't expanded yet. Just the capital. Alright. Well, let's just get this city in there, shall we? Kong. Not sure how to pronounce that, but my second city. And because it's coastal, you can see it's got a little dock in there and stuff. That's going to be a vital city for my people. Feeling good about this now. Straight away, the first thing you always build is a granary. Always. Because it just helps the cities grow. That's close to that's also close to the perfect distance between the cities. They do, as the cities get bigger and bigger, their borders occupy more. Like, you may have noticed that my capital city's actually grown. It's got an extra space in its border there and there as well. It didn't at the start, but it's grown to encompass that. That'll happen for this city as well. Eventually those borders will meet, but the distance between the two cities is just right that they don't conflict. Their borders won't end up conflicting with one another. So let's heal him up and go exploring this way now. And I mean, time does have a way of ticking down with this game because we're already in turn 63, so it's, you know, almost 1/15 of the entire game we've played in a single hour, and already down to just 50 turns for that Great Wonder. So, yeah, time does have a habit of ticking down as you play Civ. And on that note, I might need to end the stream today. I've got things I've got to get done, and I completely forgot about it, so I'm going to have to rush you off. I'm glad we got to do an hour of it anyway. This is this was the first hour of playing as the new Vietnamese civilization. So yeah, it's pretty cool, I think. I'm once again hooked, so I'm going to have to play through this whole thing. I will catch you all later. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks. 1 minute.